Good morning, North America. Welcome to Church Talk TV. Lively talk about life, church, and church life. I'm your co-host, Dr. Bill Tenney-Britton, and I'm joined, as usual, by my co-host, Dr. Kris Tenney-Britton, and we're broadcasting from our studio in Columbia, Missouri, the heartland of America. Say good morning, Kris.
Well, good morning, and welcome to Church Talk TV.
Kris and Bill Tenney-Britton here today to talk about how to double your first-time visitor count beginning, well, okay, if you're watching this on Thursday, it'll probably be next week. But hey, within the next 7 days, you can actually double your first-time visitor count, probably no matter what size church you have.
So how exciting is that? Some churches are, how do we get visitors?
In the first place.
In the first place, right? So we went to Seattle a number of years ago now, and we knew nobody. We went to start a church. We knew the people that we had met on the committee, the denominational committee. And
we didn't even know them when we decided to move out there.
Right.
But we didn't know anybody.
But we'd heard that it was the most unchurched place. At that time, it was the most unchurched place in the United States. No, it's shifted up to the Northeast.
Oh,
but anyways,
okay. Well, okay. It's still pretty high.
It's still really, really high. And, you know, let's face it, Seattle was one of the most beautiful places. And we had family up there on the other side of the state. But, and we felt called to start a church up there. Anyways, we went and we knew no one. We had nothing to build on. We had sold everything we didn't need to pay for the moving truck.
Except for our books. We kept all our books.
And beds and whatnot, right? Some antiques that we'd inherited. Anyways, to move out there. And so the question became, how on earth are we going to meet people to become this church that we had the vision to plant?
Well, we had this goal right off the bat.
Right.
We needed to meet as many new people as we could possibly meet in the shortest amount of time. Share the vision, get them excited, get their contact information, and get them somehow connected with us so we could launch a church.
In as little time as possible,
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, that was huge. So say a little bit more about some of our first plans.
The reality is that we knew that we had to meet people. We had to meet people quickly. And so we began, if you will, getting to know our community, getting out there. We joined the chamber. Yep. I started going to chamber meetings. Did you go to chamber meetings?
No.
I think so.
I went to chamber events, though.
Oh, there we are.
Like at the amusement park.
I remember that. Anyway, I was a chamber person. I got involved in the chamber, and I hung out at Starbucks. I loved going to Borders back
Borders
then.
Books.
Yeah, Borders Books.
Yeah.
It's Barnes and Noble's kind of place now, but Borders no longer there. Anyway, I went to Borders, and I would drink coffee and read books, and they have conversations. I said at Starbucks, didn't I? We went to a bar.
We went to a bar at that time. It was like one of my favorites.
And I'll tell you, let you tell a story. Let me finish up this.
Okay, go.
I went out there to meet as many people as possible. I can remember meeting Shelley, who became our treasurer down the line.
Yeah, she did.
And because, I am not as gregarious as I am, and as excited as I am about church growth, I don't always jump right into the networking meetings. I kind of hang out the back, but I hang out.
It's a little shy, believe it or not.
Believe it or not. And I would find the people who were also shy, and I'd have conversations with them. And that's where I met. It was a chamber event where we met Shelley, and she became our treasurer. And we met people at all of these venues. Many of them became founding members of the church.
Well, another cool part about Shelley is she had a sister who had her sister played drums. And so her sister began to come and to be part of us and became the drummer in our worship band. Well, you mentioned the bar, and we knew that bars were really great places. Were really great places to meet people, and we had a Bible study there, and so part of the attraction for people was you had have a Bible study in a bar.
A sports bar.
Yeah, right. So
Absolutely.
so we were able to go there before the Bible study started. We were able to order snacks some nights. We decided to do that. But here's my favorite story about meeting in bars. We know a pastor We know the pastor who had a book that he wanted to use for Bible study, and it wasn't overly churchy or anything like that. But he couldn't get people in his church to go, so he walked into this bar one night, and he hung out at the bar for for
Right,
a couple, 3 weeks before that. Anyways, he went in there this one evening, and he said, I have this book that I would like to do a study around, but nobody from my church will do that. Is anybody interested? Here's the name of the book. Here's blah, blah. And people said, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I could do it. I think some of them were like, church people won't do it. I'll do it. So anyways, but he ended up with such a group that they wanted to do another book and another book. And people at his church who would never have gone to their study started to say, well, why can't we have a study here? He said, hey, we can. And some of those people, a number of those people in the bar began to visit the church and began to call the church their church home.
So all of that is to say this. Yeah. From those experiences, we developed what we call 5-a-days. It's something we use in coaching with new church pastors, and we do use this with pastors who want to double their visitor count, who want to grow their churches, who want to see sustainable growth. We teach them what we call these 5-a-days. And the process is pretty much just what we said. You get out there and you meet 5 brand new people every single workday. Okay, Pastor,
Monday through Friday,
or whatever your days are.
Yeah.
You're the 5 days a week, perhaps other than Sunday, that that you're out and about. You have to meet 5 new people. Now, you do the math. If you actually do that, if you'll go out and meet 5 new people, and yes, there's a lot of work. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But if you meet 5 new people and you do it every week, that's 1,300 people a year that you will have had conversations with. You will have shared your vision with. You'll have got their contact information. And let's just say that you're not the most likable person in the block, or not the most gregarious, and maybe you're kind of bashful, so you don't make real quick connections with people. If you just kept 10%, if 10% of the people you had conversations with managed to show up at church, and not everyone's going to love your church, okay? I mean, this is real. I don't care what church they go to.
Right.
Some of those people are not going to connect. But if you have good hospitality practice in place, you'll keep 50% of those. Now, let me ask you something, Pastor. What kind of an impact would your church have? What kind of an impact would it have on your church, let's get it right, if you had 65 new people come to your church every single year? And, of course, if you have other people, if you have other staff who are doing this, you can, if you're a larger church, you can double that, triple that. And that's, again, if you only make connections with 10% and keep 50%. That's a lot of people. What would that do for your congregation?
Now, I need to say with that this is not multi-level marketing. Okay, you're not there. I mean, really, right?
Exactly.
Because we've watched that happen. We had a member actually who was so gregarious, but he also was very well steeped and very successful in multi-level marketing. And so we were like, okay, think of it that way. But it did become part of his way of, hey, let's get people into our market, our multi-level marketing.
Right.
But a lot of people are savvy to that and are turned off by a model like that. So you're just there to meet people, to make some connections.
Right.
What do you do? Blah blah blah. Now, at first though, okay, you need to visit some of the same places, and you're making eye contact. Hello, you're getting to know people that way, not pouncing on them with the next best, greatest church.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I used to have conversations, and you have too, where we have conversations, first-time conversations with people we've just met.
I'll give you that, right.
And I agree. You can be overbearing. Absolutely. Those kind of people are obnoxious.
Sure.
But, in the conversation,
sure.
and especially if you're excited about what's going on in your church, whatever, there comes an opportunity, not always, but sometimes, to roll out and talk about what you do and what's going on at your church. And, but again, this isn't necessarily the time to invite them. It might be, but it might not be. The key here is, and here's where we want to go.
Sure.
I want to teach you to the rules of the game.
Okay.
Because this 5-a-day, I need you to play it like a game. Because if you don't, you won't do it.
And it's fun.
It is fun, especially if you set up a personal competition with yourself, and if you can do it with another member or two, or a staff member too. Yeah. I mean, what a great way to go. So the first thing I want to do is, if you're going to play this game, the game's a competition. You don't go home until you've made 5 new contacts. Now, here's how you define a contact.
There it is.
Okay, and this is the big deal. It doesn't count as a contact unless you've had a conversation. Doesn't have to be a spiritual conversation.
No.
You don't even necessarily have to say you're a pastor or that you're a church member,
Right.
although that's kind of the point. But that's not a requirement.
May not be the time.
What you have to do, though, is you have to go away with contact information. You have to go away with the phone number, the email, the text message, whatever it is, so that you can do a follow-up contact later on. And when I say later on, I mean like within the week, because they'll forget who the heck they were talking with if you don't contact within the week. So
of course.
A contact is someone you have contact information, and it's even better if you've been able to share your contact information.
Right, exactly. Well, and I've had the opportunity to give people my phone number by calling them, and they call me back. Right, or it shows up.
Beautiful.
Right, we've done that.
Yes.
Another is I'm an Evernote user, and we need stock in Evernote. Anyways, I don't even know if they're publicly traded, but okay, I'm an Evernote user, and I can capture with my phone business cards or people's information and put it into my Evernote and make notes on them and be able to, the date, the where I did. There are other programs, whatever, apps that you can do that with. I'm just most familiar with Evernote, but you want to make sure that you have that. That also means you need to make sure you have a business card, and it can be really rudimentary, but you want to make sure that they have your information and make it fun. Put something, a fun on your card.
Your face is a good thing.
Yeah.
Having your face on there, because they remember the face more than they remember the contact information.
And make it an odd-shaped card, something like that. I know I've done my cards vertically rather than horizontally, and people will be, wow, that is really cool.
Especially since we don't use Rolodexes anymore. Hey, here's the one thing I want to say about the rules of the game.
Yeah.
Is it doesn't count as a contact if all you've done is given them your card.
Right, yes.
You have to have their contact information. And then, like I said, every day you go out, sometime during the day, and you don't come back. You don't go home until you've made 5 contacts, 5 new contacts. And here's the deal, you're having contacts with these people, you're having conversations with these people. You need to take notes so that you can make follow-up appointments with at least 3 to 5 people every week who you have made a particularly good connection with, someone who you would like to have a further conversation with. And so every week you're making 3 to 5, one-on-one, go to have coffee, go to have lunch, breakfast, whatever, 3 to 5 contacts every single week that you're doing more extended conversations with.
Now, if you're having trouble, we talked about Borders now,
Barnes and Nobles
and all these other places. Here's another piece, and we're going to talk more about this in another episode. But that's to say, we need to be in touch with our city council people, our county commissioners, and whatnot. And again, we need to do that episode so that we can share why.
The one-on-ones, we'll talk about that in the future.
So, but it would be sitting next to people. Other people are going to be waiting to get in there to see him, and you could say, have you been waiting long? Why are you here? Or something like that. You'll find what works
There's
for you.
lots of different ways.
Yeah, look what's in their hands.
To start the conversation. Yeah. You can have conversations in the grocery checkout line.
Yeah. One of my favorite was, oh my gosh, I know we have time, but not to have time. But one of my favorites wasn't too long ago, and there was a woman in there, and she was asking me about baby food, and I said, oh my goodness, and it was something about puree and something else, and I guess I look kind of grandmotherly or kind or something, and so she asked me this question about that, and I said, wow, it's been a little while, but this and this and that, and then I stepped back, and she came back to me and said, would you like to see a picture of my baby? And I said, oh my goodness, I would love to see pictures of your baby. And so she got her phone, she's showing me pictures of her baby. Here's the worst part about that. I walked away and didn't tell her one thing about the children's program in our church. I thought, oh my gosh, I totally missed out on that opportunity.
Don't miss the opportunity.
Don't miss the opportunity. Right. Pray for the opportunity.
That's right. And then look for them, the doors to open, because they will open. So 5 a days. The way, literally, if you'll do this, you will double this week, well, next week, because this is Thursday, if you're watching this on Thursday.
If you're.
If you're watching live. But any other time of the week, you ought to be able to do this and double the number of first-time visitors you have this week and next week and the week after, and you'll grow your church.
Yes, you
Guaranteed,
will.
really.
Yes. Well, and if you want to know more about growing your church and growing it sustainably, right? Not just some fluke. We have the 4 keys to sustainable church growth. 4 keys to sustainable church growth. It's at 4keys.us. 4keys.us.
You have a special price on it. It's on sale. It's 90% off right now, so you want to go and grab that.
Yeah, and it's excellent. Really, just a great resource. And we want you to have it. We want to see churches grow, right?
Yep,
that's our heart.
That's right.
Okay.
We are out of time.
We are.
We'll see you next week.
Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.